Wait a minute. Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Welcome all to the Dallas. God.
Personal
DPRG,
robotics.
DPRG's Personal Robotics Club, Robot Builders Night Virtual. Um, this is for March 21st, 2023. We are starting recording.
I think it's the 28th.
28th. The 28th. Okay. We're recording. Okay. So now, go ahead and start, Kareem. So what else? You said
Oh,
you have a weight limit, you have a size limit.
well, you have those limits. We
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, 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 yeah. Right.
It's the rules that has the limits.
Yeah.
So if we have to compete in a separate open category, I'm fine with that. It's not really like we're trying to,
Well,
take
this
take
allows
the
us.
win or anything, but
Yeah.
it's just that we just have a larger robot and we'd like to take advantage of that robot.
Mm-hmm.
So it is beyond your weight limit and it's beyond your size limit when it's usable. It
Mm-hmm.
can start out in the 18 inches, but it has to expand to be usable. Um, and then it can expand pretty far. So how big is your field?
It's
7 feet by 10 feet.
yeah, 7 feet by 10 feet.
So the robot stretches up to 12 feet
Mm-hmm.
now. So it's a little bit, yeah. So it'll be self-constrained, I guess,
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
purpose.
yeah.
Well,
But
I think the most important question that I have is, will it beat Scott's ass? That's
well,
the most
well,
important
he's
thing.
got the protection of being in a totally different class. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
I,
I
I,
think
I
we should
have
get rid
I
of
have
those
no idea. We
restrictions.
we
okay.
haven't.
Let's all make it into one class.
No, 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 no.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
we're
why
gonna do?
not?
No, no. What we're gonna do is, I see this coming next year. If people are interested, we'll open it up to allow things like swarms and things like that. So
Yeah, I think we
otherwise,
should.
so the unlimited will be truly unlimited. We'll probably put a size like you can't be over 100 pounds or something like that. But the intent will be, we might also limit, like there might only be one winner. You know, otherwise you either win this or you don't.
Right.
The whole point of it is how fast can you do it. All right. I think right now I want to say Scott's is sub 130, 1 minute and 30 seconds. I don't know how far below that he is, but it's not much. So you know that's what you're shooting for, Kareem. You want to get it in faster than 130. And Ray's got an idea he's using this year, but his falls technically under normal class rules, so it wouldn't be. No, it's not anything.
I might be
Yeah,
approaching the weight limit though.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
might need an exception there.
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't I don't think that my team's robot could beat like a leaf blower design that actually works,
Yeah.
but it could probably come in under a minute, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Oh, good, good.
Well,
Um,
that'd be really cool. That'd give everybody a new thing to shoot for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Kareem, did you see any of the pictures of what I'm doing?
No, I haven't been able to check in with you guys. I've been so
Okay.
busy, so
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
When is
yeah.
your season end?
Well, we got another month now, so
Okay.
we competed in state this weekend, and we managed to advance to worlds. So mid late April is when the season ends for us.
Okay. Cool.
And your term, your
It's second week of
competition,
May. Second week of May.
second week of May. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings up another thing. Scott suggested that we set up some practice sessions. So probably I looked at last 2 weeks of April and the first week of May. Okay, and there is availability on those Saturdays if you want to. We can set clock a couple of hours, and I'll go schedule it, and we'll set up the course. You can go out there and run it against a real course if you're interested, or you can ask people questions if that happens. So I think about it, and I'll ask that question again later in the meeting and see who would be interested in those things. Okay.
So you are doing an air tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I found this size tank has enough air to blow like 7 cans at least 10 feet. And so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Isn't your nozzle pointing the wrong direction?
Say that
Sorry?
again? Oh, are you doing anything like that?
No.
No.
Oh.
Ours is a regular gripper.
Yeah. So what he's doing is, what Ray's doing is going to the can and then using, so he doesn't have to go to the goal and back. That's what he's trying to save.
I doubt we will move.
Yeah.
I doubt that the chassis will move. I think the arm will just extend out and deposit it, because the arm can reach that long on its own.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 feet. Wow.
So this is going to be real interesting. Going to be really interesting this year because we got a couple crazy guys.
I think we should separate Kareem's approach from what Scott's doing.
No. You just if you can't beat Scott on your own, Ray, then what would Scott say? Well, it sounds like a second place to me.
These are different alternatives. And they could work. It's another approach.
Hey,
I think it stifles creativity if you know.
I still got to convince them to do it. Because I think it would have been easy if they hadn't advanced.
Mm-hmm.
But now it would be a compressed timeline.
Yeah, but ideally they are truly advancing on their program on their current design, which I understand it shouldn't be a hardware change. It should just be maybe a minor software change.
Actually, I think
there will be they will have to put a different gripper on the large arm.
Yeah.
Actually, I think going faster and faster isn't really a technical challenge. I mean, if your motors can do it, I think if you can find alternative methods to accomplish the same thing that work better or faster, you should allow them to, participate.
He's really fighting for us.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ray.
yeah. Well, like I say, I'd like to have an open class that allows some progression. That way people can get through a traditional robot base before they have to be forced to compete against people who are doing weird stuff. Right? But I like I really like your idea, though. I like your idea of what you're doing. So maybe we'll banish you next year with the rule set and put you in the exotics. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, instead of competing against Scott, I'll just go to the Kareem class and compete in that arena. That'd be fine with me.
Yeah. Well, like I say, in theory, I can see if yours works, you should be able to beat Scott.
Yeah.
You should be able to.
Should be able to. Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing is you still got to get 6 cans in. So what he's got is a very reliable robot that will always get 6 cans in. And he does it faster than anybody that we compete with typically. So.
Yeah, but increasing speed is not really a technical challenge. Then it becomes, how fast can your motors go?
I won't buy that. Yeah.
Why not?
No, because
how is that technically
better? It is harder to
harder.
control faster things.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
much
doubt about
harder.
it.
Yeah,
that's true, but
especially
with the right controller and the right software, you can do it.
Hey, that's the whole trick. The right robot and the right software. Hey,
Yeah.
That's where it's harder.
What else is there, right?
Different techniques.
Yeah, well, but that's cool. That's thinking out of the box, and that's what I'm saying. That's neat.
Hmm.
You know, the leaf blower idea that David had, he really couldn't control one can at a time. You know, he really couldn't do it because you know he had things would start. It was like like a tornado, things going everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knock all over all the 6 cans and blow them around like a bunch of leaves. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's one of the benefits of that approach.
Hmm.
He's not actually controlling the cans; they're just going all over the place.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe it gets around the rule.
Yeah, that's
The rule that- the rule
we
says-
allowed it. We allowed it. So I mean, it's you know, if you come up with a good leaf blower, go for it.
Doesn't the rule say you can control one can at a time, not move one can at a time?
It depends on what you control. Gets to be a tricky.
Yeah,
When
it
you
does.
see it, you know what it is. You know, so it's
Well, a leaf blower isn't control.
yeah. No, no,
It does, sure doesn't look like control to me.
no, it didn't. Yeah, and plus, you know, he was really good. He went out and he made like a hockey net put behind the goal because we were down at Perot at the time and.
Didn't want orange
we
cans
were
flying through
afraid that
the lobby.
it'd be we whopping kids in the head, but anyway, okay. Well, so Kareem, get your boys on board and go win world, and then come back and do this. Okay?
Sure, no problem.
No problem.
So Kareem, what other approaches do you have besides the arm? Is that it? Extending out?
Well, they've got 2 arms, 2 turrets.
Oh wow! So are they both going to be moving cans around?
I don't know if they would want to. They might only use the little arm, actually. Come to think of it, I don't know. They'd have to redesign a handoff mechanism if they wanted to use them both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they need to do that on a field this size. So they would have to decide what they want to do. They'll probably use one or the other, probably not both.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the next one was going to be John, I believe.
Yeah, wanted to let everybody know that I have a annual crawfish boil that I put on
A what?
each year. I haven't done it for the COVID years, but I'm kicking it off again. If anybody's interested in going,
What?
To what?
crawfish boil.
Crawfish.
Oh,
Yeah, we get typically about 100 and something pounds of crawfish, hamburgers and hot dogs, beer,
Ooh.
you know, and go to town.
Okay.
So send me, you got my email on the DPRG list. If you're
Yeah.
interested,
Yeah.
shoot me an email.
Okay. Do you have any date,
When is
John,
this?
that you can kind of?
April 22nd on a Saturday at 2
Okay.
p.m.
That's when we're competing.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it April 22nd?
Yeah, 18th through the 22nd.
Oh, oh well.
That's all right.
Well, anybody who's not going to that competition can have some crawfish.
Okay. Cool. All right. Now, Ray, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to. If I did.
oh, that's okay. Yeah, I'm waiting for a valve to come in, and so basically what I did is I put a servo, and I think it's like an air clean off tool,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the servo arm was supposed to, actuate this lever here, and trigger, the gun, but it's too slow. So I did order
Too
a
slow.
valve that I think is
What do you
gonna
mean
work.
slow? Too slow, Ray? What do you mean?
I've got to hit it with varying lengths of air or time. I have to vary the air by how much time the solenoid or this tool is opened.
Mm-hmm.
Are
So-
you pulsing the valve?
Not well, just pulsing it for a second, because it just takes
Yeah.
really a fraction
Yeah.
of a second to blast out enough air to push the the can more than 10 feet. And once I get the other valve in, this is the other valve. I had to wait for some information on flow rates. They didn't talk about that in any of this, specs on Amazon.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this one, initially I was going to use a 1/4 inch. Okay, cut that out. A 1/4 inch valve, but it only has like a 2.5 millimeter opening to let air through, and I think that's going to be too restrictive. So I went to a 3/8 inch valve, and that one's got like a 4 millimeter, which I think is probably enough. So, oops, I wasn't presenting. You didn't see that, did you?
Oh, no, we didn't. We haven't. We're waiting for the valve.
Okay,
Right.
hold on. Sorry about that. Forgot one important step. Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the valve. It's initially I thought a 1/4 inch was going to be good enough, but really had to go to a 3/8. You can get these in, several different voltages: 12 volts, 24, 110, 220 AC. And this one up to 1 inch. But the higher up you go, the more expensive they are. It's got a lot of ratings, but it seemed like some of the 1-star ratings, which 6%, they complained that the valve leaked a little. So I'm hoping that there's not going to be issues with quality control. If the valve is off, it shouldn't be leaking. But if I had to buy like a US made valve, it would be, a lot more expensive, $200 to $300 for one valve. So I'm kind of hoping the Chinese manufacturers are going to come through, and it's going to have enough quality to work. And that'll be a lot easier. They say that you can control it or turn it on for like a fraction of a second. So I don't think I'll need to compensate for the drop in air pressure in the tank. I tried it, like I said, 10 feet, 7 cans. It seems to work fine. But I could lower the pressure the closer I get to the goal to prevent it from, getting too much arc or going up in the air too much. So that's the thing I'm going to have to experiment with and just, try to figure out if, versus or distance versus how much time that valve is on is actually going to work, is actually going to, push the can enough to get it into the goal. But so that's kind of where I'm at. I think the stuff's coming in Friday. Took a little, like I said, a little while to get back or hear back from the manufacturer on, what the flow rate was. You think if you're buying valves, that's something you want to know, But anyway, so that was all I had. That's kind of where it's at.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Let's see. Okay.
Those cans are still empty.
Yes.
In other words, they're very crushable, right?
Well, the tape
You can crush them pretty easy.
the tape makes them a little sturdier than a non-crushable one.
Are they sealed? Like, do
No.
they have?
No,
It's not like an air bladder inside.
No.
They're just covered in tape.
an empty can, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to the this method. It doesn't really hurt the can. You know, it blows a puff of air at it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm worried about my team doing, is crushing a can. Yeah.
Well, you know, in that class, the rules are open anyway, so.
That's right. Okay. I guess we'll run after everybody else is run.
That's right. Or you can bring your own cans. You know?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably have a compressor there, so if you do crush one, I may be able to pop it back
Just
out.
pop it open. All right.
Just
We'll
a
help
little,
each other out.
you know.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady with his footballs? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's deflate gate all over again. Yep.
We'll puff it back up into a spherical shape.
Yep. But yeah, it's not going to take very much pressure to pop cans back out.
Yeah.
It may rip the can, but if you know, don't know how much force you're talking about there, Kareem. Is it, you know, crushing cans or?
Well, it doesn't have any force feedback, so it doesn't know how hard it's. I think that they would have to design a new gripper for this anyhow. So.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they can just go a little bit to a featherweight servo or something that not gonna.
You could crush
so
the can enough that it's dense and just throw it. You know, it won't have
Right.
any air resistance.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be
Crush
nice.
it into a little ball and just, you know.
Okay, anybody got anything else? Hey, Pat, you said you had a little something.
I've got a robot that the wheels are spinning.
Hey, well, that's
It
good.
became cordless on the weekend, and I can show that. But as far as driving on the floor, I've got it going fairly straight, but working on the turnaround at the far end.
Yep.
So just working on my navigation, but I can present the wheel spinning.
Okay.
Let me just. I'll leave it tethered to my Raspberry Pi tethered, and start up my motor routine. Hit the bottom. Then start up my navigation routine. And I don't know if you can see that. I got.
Yeah, and they look like they're going the same speed too.
Yeah, they're going the same speed, same direction, till it does its turnaround and it starts to do some weird things.
Okay. Yeah. Neat.
So it's bouncing around. So I have to do a little bit of troubleshooting and figuring out why. So I've told it to go out 300 centimeters, about 10 feet.
Yeah.
Turn back around and head back to starting position. So go from 0 to 300, and then come back to 0. And when it's doing its turnaround, it's getting confused.
Confused. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that's caught me before is how do you look at the angle? If you're looking at the angle like from 0 to 90 to 180 to 270 to 0, that's one way to look at it. But some of your sensors may be looking at it like from 0 to 180 and 0 minus to minus 180. Okay.
It's looking, well, the calculations all come back in rads,
Yeah.
and that gets converted back into, I believe it's plus or minus 180 right now.
Okay, yeah. So you have to make sure everybody is talking plus and minus 0 to 180, as opposed to, because I have, in my some of my trials and tribulations, I've had part of the system going from 0 to 180, and then another sensor going from 0 to 360, and some of them starting at different ordinances, and So until you get them all going the same way, you can run into some issues there.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it right now, and the data I'm getting back in Python, I think I'm still using rads in Python
Yeah.
and trying to compare it out to degrees or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's giving me some trouble there.
Yeah, but like, yeah. Okay. Well, you just have to. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I've seen that problem before. That's what's got me. You know.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
So basically, on the weekend, I got my motor routine working well.
Mm-hmm.
That it's controlling the motors at speed. Today, I rewrote it so that I have both motors with error correction to try to go straight.
Yeah.
So basically, without using an MPU or inertial like a gyro or anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it does hit bumps and it'll go a little crooked on the floor, but for the most part, it's going pretty straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that comparing my error on each motor loop, left encoder count minus right encoder count, give me an error.
Mm-hmm.
And I correct only the one wheel. But the difference I made is I used to give the wheel commands, command velocity plus command rotation and command velocity minus command rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've switched that in my motor control to just giving the wheels command velocity, and I give the feedback where I add my error in to the actual speed, and I put the command rotation into there as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that it'll add the command rotation on one of the to one of the motors' feedback and subtract the command rotation from the other motor, and to basically try to smooth that out a little wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be working better. With that, I've managed to get it to go straighter than before.
Yeah, you do have a PID on each motor, right?
I have a PID on each motor separately.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of the stuff that I did when I first started, because I was just learning, and what I would do is I'd let one wheel run open loop, and then I'd put a PID on the other one to minimize the error with the one that was running open loop. Well, the problem with that is that if you slow down or hit a bump or things get hard, that one wheel, if it is become your reference, and the other guy is just following it whatever speed it's trying to do, it's not ideal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've got two PID loops, left and right wheel.
Yeah.
And like I say, today I rewrote was part of my Python code for how it controlled, but just to compare left and right feedback coming back from the motor control. But in the motor control is where I redid the loops to add the error plus the rotational value as part of the feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to remind everybody that it'd probably be best to search for it on Google, but David Anderson, about a year ago, went in great detail on how he does it, and it's definitely worth watching again. And I don't know, I can't really help you pinpoint it, except that it is somewhere in the meeting minutes, which makes it searchable by Amazon. So if you put out something like, what I would say is probably David Anderson, Robot Builders Night virtual chat minutes, probably rotation, because it was a lot about how he handles rotation. That probably would help you and bring you in close to one of the meetings. Okay, let's see. Hey, Doug. Hey, John. Okay. So just again to reference everybody, if anybody's interested in setting up a practice session on one of the Saturdays in later April or early May, let me know so that I can get us a room to do that. And if just send me an email, that'd be fine if you're interested. So that would be, we'd looking probably at the 22nd of April, the 29th of April, and the 6th of May. Okay. And obviously, anytime, well, I don't, if you're a member of the DMS, you could always go down there and set up the course yourself in one of their empty rooms, but that's a lot of work by yourself. Okay.
I'll tell you right now, I'm looking at the 29th of April or the 6th of May. I got to check my social coordinator. That'd be my wife
Yeah.
on that deal. But one of the two of the things is would like to get in there and try some stuff where my garage doesn't have
The room.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've got in my dining room just enough space because my house is not that big, and so if I move all the furniture over to the side, I can have a space that can simulate it, but I don't have any walls to put up. I just have to stay within the bounds. So okay, so Harold, I got you down for 29th and the 6th. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking probably we could do maybe like 10 to 2 and have a lunch break if we wanted it.
You may not want to do 29th though, because they're doing that steamroller event thing.
Yeah, but they're not going to be anywhere near the interactive
It's
classroom.
going to be in the hallways and in the back. Yeah, in the hallway in the back.
Yeah.
I would say the Sunday would be a better. They don't have anything on Sunday. I'm looking at their calendar and right now I see. Well, let me share the calendar. Hey, we can do that on this. Let me share this thing.
How about Harold? How about Sunday? That actually better for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm probably better for the
John, just make sure you don't stick your robot down in front of the steamroller. You'll probably be all right.
Well, we get squashed.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm seeing for next month. Okay, so that's why I said Sundays are actually better, because on Saturday they have lots of things going on.
Yeah, but nothing. Yeah.
Especially on the 27th and 29th. So that's why I would say it's Sunday.
Okay, well, we
They're
can do
very
Sunday.
limited. There's only like 2 things. They have a storytelling, but I don't know what room offhand that's going to be in. Okay, yeah, I see that's the North Lobby, so that one's not in the way. And the Slip Cats, and that's pottery. So that day there's nothing there. 30th, there's nothing there. So yeah, I would say Sundays are a nice, not crowded day for for a whole day type activity.
Okay, so we're talking maybe the 30th and the 23rd, or the 7th. So
The 7th would be a Friday, but there's nothing happening on Fridays either,
wait a minute.
unless you're talking the next month, like 8th in May. Okay, yeah, Sunday the 7th in May.
Yeah.
Or you could do it actually on the 6th. There's only one thing on that Saturday, but they have marked down right now.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to put that out there, and people can let me know what they want to do, and we'll get the course there so you can set up and play with it. If you haven't ever run, one of the things that I can tell you right now, that if you want to win any of the competitions, that almost always you have to practice. You have to practice, because you can't. Kareem probably could tell us that if he was still here, but if you try to do it before the competition, there's always something you don't know about or you forgot about. So anyway, okay. Let's see. Let's see. I was going to show something on. I'm starting to bring this guy back to life. People have seen this compete before, and I'm updating the code base, and I've got all of the basic sensors working, but I'm sort of where Pat is right now. I'm still messing with some motor control issues, but I've something that if you have, I don't know if everybody's seen this. I was going to show something and talk about some ideas that people might want to consider. Let me see here.
While you're showing that, Doug, I posted in the chat a link to David Anderson's notes.
Okay, and I don't believe it was just one, but that would be a good. You could, if you found one that's in a couple of weeks, you could find the other ones pretty easy. Okay, so let's see.
So Doug, are you actually going to compete, or are you going to be an also ran?
Well, I'll have to say right now that my wife's situation's a little bit iffy, and so depends on how things happen. But right now, it looks like I could probably compete.
Okay.
If I can get this thing to go. So anyway, the thing I wanted to show people, and I can't see what I'm showing, so you guys are going to have to tell me if I'm showing the wrong thing. Let's see here.
Right now, all we're seeing is your Google Meet window.
Okay.
A window and a window and a window.
That's not good. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting that and just pin me. Okay? Just pin me.
Yep.
Well, I can pin me. There we go. All right, so here's the robot. The part that, yeah, and the way this thing works, it's a Mega-based system. It's got a motor controller on it. It's got a Pixie cam. You can see this servo here. That servo actually operates a gate that goes between here and here, but I've lost it, so I'll have to make a new one. And you can see inside here, there's a brake beam between here and here that's used to tell you when you have a can in it. And so we're going to look at some of this is something that's very useful. Okay, so can you read any of that? You can't.
Yeah, if you don't move.
I don't know. Anyway, can you see that?
System, okay, menu.
Yeah, system check.
Oh.
Okay. And when you click on it, the first one is sonar test. The next one is the scoop sensor test. The next one is the gate servo test. The next one is the camera test. The next one is the encoder test. The next one is the IMU test. And then it goes back to the menu. So if I go back to like if you have the sonar, you can operate the sonar. It happens to have two sonar positions, but only have one sonar. So I don't know if you can see the number changing at all. Does anybody see anything?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can go to the next test, which is the scoop sensor test. That's that brake beam. And if you hit that, it says not blocked. But if I put my finger in the front of it, like right here, it goes to blocked. Can you see that? I don't know
Yep.
if you, okay. And you can hit the gate servo. That's the little servo in the front. And it just cycles. You can see it cycling. You can hear it for sure. It's over here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And then if you go to the next one, that's the camera test. And right now it says there's none, and I haven't tuned this up, but you can see now it sees 80, 90, goes this way, it goes down to 40. If it goes this way, it goes up to 120. So there's really between.
Exposition.
It's the exposition, yeah. So that's that sample. The next one is the encoder test, and right now they're both 0, 0. If I turn my left, you can see it went forward. If I turn my right, it goes forward. If I turn them backwards, they go back to negative numbers if you keep going far enough. Let's see what else is there. Okay, and then IMU test. Right now it says it's at 356 because I must have bumped it. But if I turn it a certain thing, you can see I can get it. Let's get it on 270. Okay, so right now it thinks it's on 270 degrees. Now that's 0. So you can see it follows that. So I got a feeling, so most of the sensors are all functional. But anyway, this little bit of software to runs on an Arduino Uno with a 16 character 2x16 character display, and that works. It's self-contained. If you look at the Pixie is connected to a little Pro Mini, and the Pro Mini handles all of the calculations, and it just sends over the location value. So it sends over 2 bits. Well, actually 1 bit. 1 bit of information to the serial port, because the number is going to be somewhere between 0 and 255. So anyway, I thought I'd show that. Made some progress finding out, remembering what I did back when I was doing it. But so now the next step is getting that code base a little bit. You know, every year I learn more, so I end up doing the code base over again, trying to get it a little, so it's easier to change. Someday it's going to be so easy to change that it's just going to do it itself. So I'm just getting there slowly. So anyway, I thought I'd share that for those who haven't seen that type of thing before. That might give you some inspiration. If you're interested in the code, you know, I believe one version of it is already up there, and if not, you can just send me an email. I'd be willing to give you the Uno code and the subroutines that go in the on the other Arduino-based product. It doesn't have to be a Mega. It could be a ESP32 or whatever, you know. But anyway, just so. All right, now why is my picture small? That's big.
Well, I'm inspired to get my Bluetooth interface working, remote
Yes.
control with a smartphone screen. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good thing to have, is some sort of, I think we all call them in the club now chick magnets. We're going to see that when I go to Robo Columbus, I'm hoping to have some version of that based on the ESP32, so that there can be some teleop to your wrist. You know, you'll be able to look at it and say, "Oh my God, it's heading for the creek." So, so I mean, anyway, we'll see. Um, Ted, any more progress on yours?
Yeah, I really didn't have a chance to get to it or do much this last week, so
Yeah, yeah.
no progress. Sorry.
No. Okay. Well, cool. That's get excited because it's always neat when you see the completely new base. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Harold, what's going? Harold. Okay, I guess Harold.
Yeah, I'm driving. I'm driving to the house at a late day, crunch time, all that kind of stuff going on. I
Yeah.
do have a question for you folks, though.
Yes.
I've got the little breadboard robot balance box, and I'm having a dickens of a time dealing with the PID stuff and getting it balanced, and it'll almost balance and it goes crazy. And when it goes crazy or like falls over,
Mm-hmm.
I have to hold it a significant amount of time vertical to get it back centered back up. It's like it takes a long time to recover. And I wish I was at the house because I would show you some of that action. But I really need help in how do I set all these, because it's open loop PID. I'm just tucking off the IMU and looking to get a set point of some angle that's balanced at and just get back to that angle. Right? I didn't think I was not trying to do anything very crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but I think part of it is I'm leaning towards this is going to be a design that's never really going to work. And here's why I'm saying that. The IMU is just stuck in a breadboard. Okay, so it's not really mounted hard. And so if it flops a little bit, it's going to shift a little bit in the breadboard. So I've got like 2 or 3 shiftings going on at the same time. And I think that is helping me. I don't know if it's hurting me, but I don't think this is helping me. And, and when you're talking about PID, what ranges are people usually having those things? I mean, I've got it to, plus or minus 10. I got a little potentiometer on it where I say 0 to 10 or 0 to 20. Take that back. I got a little potentiometer on it so I can adjust it. And that's another problem too, is I can't have this thing plugged in and have the balance thing happen at the same time because, this thing is so light and the whole works. The Heisenberg thing. As soon as I start measuring stuff, I don't know what stuff is because thing's smooth and goes off. So, and
Can you hot glue the IMU in place?
What now?
Can you hot glue the IMU in place?
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, hot glue's your friend.
I can certainly do that. That would eliminate that bit of concern.
And you can get 2 types of that, so you could go for the type that's easier to remove if you want to later. They have a high temperature and low temperature version. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And we can certainly try that because
when you see the
I am getting burned up with we've learned a lot of stuff on this. I'm not saying I haven't learned anything, but this thing, as cool as I thought it was going to be for a little quick put together thing, it's not turning out quick and not working and all the other amazing things that we bang our head against brick walls for, right?
Yeah.
when you said that it goes crazy and takes a while to recover after it's fallen over, that sounds like integrator windup, and that's an effect that happens because when it falls over, the error term is present for some substantial period of time and keeps on getting integrated, and the integrator raises and raises and raises it and keeps on applying a corrective force in whatever direction. It takes a while for it to unwind, and the normal solution to that is to limit the level of the how high the integral can grow to truncate it at some upper level.
Okay.
Or in
Oh,
a simple terms, at least in my mind, is effectively if it's till more than a certain amount, have a timeout time, basically. In other words, don't add to the compound problem type
And limiting
thing.
would do the same thing. I mean,
Right.
there's a, oh God, what's it called? Not concatenate.
I would just add a
Oh,
little
constrain
timer out
command
type
in
error.
Arduino land.
What?
Where you're effectively said, don't take more data.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, you
Maybe I
can
can.
constrain any variable between two limits.
But when you're at the house or that, you can probably share the code. That'll be easier to look at. We're guessing a little bit at some of this. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it sounds like Paul is right about, yeah, you're basically feeding data in there that's really off. And so it's, yeah, using that data to compound its problem.
Yeah, I'm just saying this thing is, yeah, so that's one issue. The other issue is literally, I am barely touching this thing, and it looks like it wants to go, and as soon as it gets less, it holds up for just a second, and corrects itself, then flip flops, and then off to the races it goes, one way or the other. You know, I got plenty of power and plenty of stuff, which before I didn't have, and now I do, and so yeah, I'm going through this stuff that I feel like such a noob. You know, I see all these people doing all this stuff, and you find folks doing all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I can't put two things together and have it actually not blow up. You know,
Yeah.
some days.
Yeah. Sometimes Harold, that just seems to be the way it goes. I know what you mean. Uh,
Yeah.
on the, but if you're not,
Harold,
you
you
know,
just don't see the struggles, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to
Just
give up
see the
on
end
it because I
product.
got other robots. I got other robots and other things to play with that I can fire up on my stream. But you know, I guess it's all right to fail. You know, and then we'll come back to this at another time and think some more of it and that kind of stuff, and we'll go do something else. Right?
Well,
So
Harold, are you using a PID library or are you handwriting the PID?
yeah, I forget what it is, like Quick Pid or something. It's one I found online that I seem to understand a little
Okay.
bit on how to talk to it.
Okay. We
And
did what was it, Brett? What's Brett's last name? The guy that wrote the Arduino PID library.
Oh,
Yeah, but he has a set of the guy who writes the Arduino PID library, one is just called PID, is actually got a tutorial out there that touches on things like uh, integrated wind up and how to his library actually takes care of the problem for you, but he explains exactly what the problem is. And if you aren't doing anything about wind up, you probably got it. If you're using an integration term and you're not limiting it some way, yeah, you definitely got that issue.
Brett Beauregard.
Huh?
Brett Beauregard.
Yeah, Brett Beauregard. Yeah.
you know, that name sounds familiar, but I'm like I say, I'm driving down the road and lots of things sound familiar. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be,
Hey Paul, if you got it, can you put in that tutorial link if you have it? Because really, Harold, this is probably the best tutorial on PIDs for hobby robotists.
Because I kind of want to understand this thing and do it. And one of my maybe this is a failing in my character. I'm seeing everything, and it seems like everybody that online that's done one of these robots that doing the balance and the PID, they're copying something from 15, 20 years ago or however.
Yeah.
There's got to be a newer or better or more succinct or something way.
Yeah.
And other than copying, I think there's one person that wrote this Arduino code, probably dead by now, and everybody else has been copying it for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's got to be a better way. Maybe there's not, but
So once you solve this problem, you'll be the one to update it to now. See, Think of it that way. Think of it as a challenge.
Yeah, you'll be famous for another 20 years.
Yeah. I will say
But, yeah,
this.
I hope you get what I'm
Yeah.
like. There's got to be a better way to do it than we were doing it X number of, a long time ago. I say long time ago, 10 plus, 15 plus years ago.
Well, I would again, if you can, I don't know what his schedule is, but if you can talk to David, he's probably got the most sophisticated one I've ever seen. You know, his is a truly navigating balancing robot. So his not one of these things that just sits there and balances. His literally, well, he tells it to go into the next room and go to a certain location, and it will go and do that.
Well,
So,
that is kind of the pie in the sky goal is once we figure out how to make something balance, then we make a bigger one that balances, and on that bigger one that balances, we can add more stuff to it to do all kinds of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of I was looking for.
The first step is to get it so it'll balance and stay relatively balanced for a reasonable amount of time. And it sounds to me that you do have feedback effectively go into it, and effectively it's compound. They'll get to a certain angle, and from there it just keep going south. And that's why I was saying some type of limiter so that once it gets to there, you're basically, cutting down the feedback.
I got you.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how Boston Dynamics got its start. So,
Oh yeah, that was an interesting story. Everybody else was trying to make stable robots and then make them unstable, and they said, screw it, let's go make one that jumps on a pogo stick, totally unstable, and then that was stable, and then that's where they took off for Carnegie Mellon. Interesting approach of the thing, interesting approach.
But you compare what they have now versus what they had a couple years back, and so that's why
you got robots
crawl before run.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'm just curious, Harold, because I haven't really explored balancing robots per se. Surely there's, in all the examples of balancing robots that are out there, because I've seen, thousands of articles on it. At least one of them has got a balance.
Yeah, there's lots of them do it, but most of them get up and they will get up and just copy some. In fact, I'm copying these people's code, and they go, "Well, how did you come up with this?" And usually the words Kalman filters comes up, so you're filtering out high bandwidth and high crazy vibrations and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, I don't really know. I copied this from somebody smarter," and so it just puts the auger in.
Right.
So
I tend to agree with Harold that because I went, and looked at it, but I haven't gotten around to actually building the thing yet. But I did do a little look, and there's not that many really out there that is original, good balancing robots with good documentation to go with it. So you'd be amazed at the lack of quality documentation.
What about Palulu?
Volvo has a balancing robot.
Yeah.
That's theirs.
Yeah, I think they have two, the Balboa and the Sumo one. I've seen that one on the tracks balance.
Yeah, I have the Balboa one.
Mm-hmm.
And it balances.
maybe that's what I do. I just go find one of those kits, build the kit, buy the kit, build the kit, and just do whatever it tells me to do. And then from then we'll figure out something else what's happening. Maybe that's what I should do.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. That'd be a good idea, Harold. David,
Dave, can you look at the code on yours? Or is
I haven't looked at it in probably 10 years, but I mean, I fired it up and it balanced, and I looked at it a little bit and said, "Oh, that's interesting." And
I understand you reverse engineer.
Yeah, David, I want to guess if you actually looked at that code and looked at somebody who built a balancing robot 2 months ago, it'd be the same code. I just almost guarantee it.
that could well be. All I'm saying is there's an existence theorem that says, well, there's one that does balance.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't think the Boston Dynamics boys are using code from that balanced robot there. I think they're probably a little more sophisticated. Not that I
But
can
they
do,
probably,
or I
but they
need to,
probably
but
looked at the code originally
That,
and
that
did
might be a
reverse
starting point.
engineer.
That might be a starting point.
yeah, starting point.
Like old Tom Lehrer says, that let nothing evade your eyes, but plagiarize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I between that and getting my sound system screwed up, for audio and video and stuff on my Twitch stream, it's just, I don't know, audio routing is just a big old crazy mystery to me. And I mean, I get it partly, but then when it goes south, it just goes terribly south. In fact, that's what I'm going to do when I get home, so I can have my Twitch stream actually doing stuff tomorrow night. It's crazy. Anyway, that's me. Thank you very much for the advice. I want to take you up on glue guns and looking at some stuff, and I will. I mean, the code's already out there on my GitHub repo. I just don't have a good way to tell you where to go look it up, and I guess I can push it to the list here sometime this evening.
Okay.
I guess that's probably good. Give you a link right to the INO, and show you what I'm doing, and take some advice. And it's a hodgepodge of stuff that I've learned as I go on in the original code from the breadboard bot that I started, because there's a timer in there where it's getting the gyroscope and adding some offsets, so that it's trying to limit some of that movement back and forth. But the problem with that, limiting that thing and doing that, is it's all well and good, but when I'm looking at the numbers, it's multiplying 0.003 by effectively 0 most of the time. And I'm like, how are you actually affecting anything? Don't know. So,
Well,
has David Anderson ever shared his balancing robot code?
No, I don't think so. No. But I'm sure he'd be willing to. He would. I don't know if he'd do the code, but I know he
might be able to give an overview, and more importantly, if you show him that other code, he might have some pointers to that code.
Yeah. Because
to tweaking it.
Yeah. Yeah, because
borrow. I would take it.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Borrow his.
Yeah.
I mean, I am really expecting when somebody like David Anderson looks at some of this stuff and looks at what we're doing and get a slap to the back of the head with the phrase, "Don't be stupid, you moron. What are you doing?" And I'm okay with it.
Right. Okay, and what I'm saying is he should be able to at least look at that code that you have and give some pointer as to why certain things are going south or ways to improve it. So
I would think he would help you. I mean,
right. I would attack it with
nearly
that
as egotistical as Scott is. Scott would probably do that, but
that's my point.
And I will.
So Harold, when you get to the house next time, pull up the code. And, we can all sort of look at it and give you better pointers. Otherwise, it's like trying to sort of describe the elephant in the dark.
I call it shooting ducks in the dark. You can hear the quacking, but hitting anything is pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that when I get home.
Okay, guys. Has anybody got anything else they want to talk about?
I can show you two things I found. The one thing I would like to build, but I don't think I'm going to get it up and running by next month.
Okay.
I actually think it's quite interesting. So I'll start with the one that's sort of more generic-ish, and then I'll get to the other one after that.
Okay.
Okay, so let me click on a button. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I think that's the path we want to go. So okay, yeah, there it is. So I found this, so on Instructables, and so I don't know the Azure robots. I guess it's a company that makes one of these, and I don't know the cost. But what they did is they modified it. So basically, it will go get a diaper and dump it in a trash can, so you don't really have to do much of it.
Does it
Okay,
take it off the kid and clean it up?
well, not quite that good, but but seemingly what he can do is you can talk to the thing and says, come here, so it'll track you down, seemingly, and then you tell turn left, and it'll present the gripper, and then you press a button, and it'll open the gripper, and then put the diaper in there, and it'll grab the dripper, and then you tell it basically go home. So when it goes back home to the charger, he has a sensor on the wall that will release the diaper into the trash can.
Does it like incinerate it or something?
No, it just dumps it. But the key is, it takes it away from you. So I haven't hit play, so I have no clue what play will do. But you can sort of see, what it does. Now receiving has the kid.
Hopefully, it doesn't try to grab the diaper with the kid still in it.
That could be interesting, but I don't think they would show that. But we'll see. Okay, so it says, robot, come here. And she pushes the button on the Adria that put up there, and then wait 5 seconds, and then it closes.
I wonder if it has like drizzle mode or something, drizzles the diaper back to the trash.
It squeezes it and goes all over.
That's right.
And then there's the trash can next to the charging base.
Oh man, that thing needs a lid. That's not going to work.
Well, I did.
Talk about robots revolting.
I did not make the video, but yes, that could be an improvement that they could do. I agree. There's certain things we improve upon, like pushing the button. But
one of the motors sparked and blew up the garbage can.
That's right. Ignited some of those methane gases or something. Whoa.
Okay.
Well, it looks like rather than detecting the garbage can, it's just going home and then saying, "Oh,
right." Well, it basically says, that it hit, down in here. But their instruction set is, you can speak to it to come find you, simply so it's smart enough internally. In other words, they added on to it because you see they put a separate board for the arm, all that part. And then real sonar at the basset. And then, you push a button on the Adria to get it to open, close the dripper. So, and then they
might have a new robot contest class.
Well, hey, we can have one. Take the diaper to the trash can. So, you see there's where they basically add on to.
So, if I can make a quick comment, that seems like a lot of activity for a $1,600 robot to do.
How much it costs? As I said, I don't know how much it costs.
That's Amazon robot.
Did you say 1,600?
$1599.99.
Oh my God!
So they made something useful for it to do at least.
I was going to say, at least it can do more than track you down in a room and say, "Oh, there's somebody in this room." So.
Yeah.
So that was the first one, and then I'll show you the other one that is a little more realistic to me, but
I have something to present as well after John. If somebody
okay. So here's the other thing that I found that I really like because, the whole point of trying to get a robot to go straight and that, and then turn. This, I think, might solve those two type of problems. So I'll show you how it runs. But let me
Holy mackerel.
ignore all that and get to the real spot, which right about there. Okay, we need to go a little. Okay.
Oh, this could be an example of how the Russians might be getting ahead of us on,
You can see, to me that gives it a very straight line. The way it's built there, and then how it turns is interesting. So, see, so that's why I'm thinking it can be very precise on the turns and go on a straight line.
It's using that turntable to turn, so
Right.
you probably got that
Yeah.
set up to.
Right, and so you could get a very precision turn by doing that. Is my thought.
You know what this reminds me of? A landmine cleaner.
Well, it could be most things, but I just thought, that whole concept design was interesting because, different.
It is different.
And, it has certain benefits in my mind, especially like for four corners, because, you can be very precise on your turns.
You still have to be able to turn exactly 90 degrees.
Yeah, but
If you
probably
that would be easier to figure out code-wise with this.
Connect it to some oars, and you can row a boat with it.
Well, that too. Amongst other things, but yeah. So, this is the one of the two that look more interesting and definitely a lot cheaper to make or buy. Well, in this case, make. I don't think you can buy it. But yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah. And you see, has a couple others types out there.
Kind of seems like if he had a foot that opposed the other one, because he's like wasting half the cycle of the
but
revolution.
But it's accurate. By doing this, it's more accurate in my mind. You don't have the problem of, and it's very controllable. You can see. In this case, it has a remote, but to me, you can have feedback on the turn with your terminal, and I don't think you would have that much slippage, so I think it would be pretty accurate even to go in however many inches.
Those look like Doug D's motors too on the corners.
So well, there's that, but you can see most of it was Ally. So, and this, I wonder if you can read it. But just the concept was interesting, and he actually has one. Let me click there for one moment, and you can see he has the basic battery with a couple of different add-ons. So this other one I've seen before, where the basically it can have a drum reel that moves along. Of all these, this one with the paddles seems to be the most accurate. Mm-hmm. So So anyway, so that's why I found of interest.
Okay, cool.
So let me close that. Okay, and then after that, next, who wants to share?
Pat, you said you had something?
Yeah, I just saw something and I was holding off. I see if anyone wanted to show it. So I'll present my screen, share, and can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if everybody saw that. The Arduino Uno has announced a new version, R4.
No.
And
yeah, I had briefly heard about it, but I hadn't really looked closely at it. It was a very brief thing, and it sounded very good. So if you want to describe it more. Cause yeah, it
And
was like
unpronounced
double,
Ready style.
they're changing chips out and up in the memory.
So 48 megahertz, and go from 2 kilobytes to 32 kilobytes of SRAM, and from 32 kilobytes to 256 kilobytes of flash. So it's not a bad upgrade based on Cortex M4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So did it?
Yeah, Renaissance Technology used to be Hitachi Semiconductor. I used to work for them.
Okay.
So
So
they did have
announce
some pretty good
a price?
processors.
Did they announce a price on it? Because the one of our guys didn't say anything about price. I was
No,
curious
but
about
they
that.
didn't. But I'm expecting it to see it come out in the $40 range probably.
Amazon's got a kit that includes that and something else for $100. I'm not seeing it by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else has come out with a clone of it already, and I thought that they had said it was like $38 US.
So
But,
Chinese clone?
Was a Chinese clone. Yeah, I forget who it was. I had looked up Arduino Uno R4, and it came up with a clone. And so, but the only problem is so far that I don't think any of the libraries or the ID would be supported. And so, if you could look further into the link, it is available for testers, but you have to be, having a library that is out in the Arduino world that's already published, so that you can test your code and be ready for the update. So I just thought it was interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about getting something a little more performant than an Arduino Uno.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can wonder how that's going to do. I mean, there are so many processors now that are supported by the the IDE and SAMD 21s, SAMD 51s,
SP32.
Yeah, there are so many now.
Yeah, I just was looking at PJRC's website on the Teensy.
Teensies, right?
Yeah, the 4 and the 4.1 are now available, and the 4 costs $24. So you can get a Teensy 4 for 24, and I think the 4.1, and that's got a M7 in it. And the 4.1, which has got more basically much more pin outs, is $32, say. And both of them are in stock. So
what does the M7 run at? Isn't it like 480 megahertz or something? 600
megahertz.
Oh, is it 600? Wow.
Yeah, and they got, it says 7.936 meg of flash and 1 meg of RAM and 4K of EEPROM. So I mean, it's incredible chip. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are available now but I mean, this being in stock is kind of key, It's good to see it because it hasn't been in stock for a while.
Yeah, it's hard to get a Pi, and they really have gone up in price.
Yeah. Well, actually, that 4 at 20, what did I say, $23, $24? That's not really too bad. That's
how much was the 4.1?
Huh?
The
4.1. They're about 32, I think if I remember I said.
Okay, I'm seeing it for about $44 in Canada.
Yeah.
Which isn't too bad.
Yeah. Is that Amazon?
No, that's website Canada Robotics.
Okay. So do you have to pay shipping on top of that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let me
It's
see.
that dog sled shipping. It's expensive.
Yeah. Especially when the teensy is so teeny.
So that's the thing. Is once in a while there's a couple people that put out a light packet shipping in Canada, and I think I've hit it on two different people that have done it, and it's $2 for shipping, and as long as it fits in that envelope, within the constraints of that, they'll send it for $2, which isn't bad.
No, that's real good. Yeah, we in the United States they had something. They had little boxes, and anything they were not. They were anything you could put in the box, regardless if it was lead or what. They would ship it for reasonable prices, but over time those boxes have gotten more and more expensive. So it's not a good deal.
That was another one I got that it's I don't know 8 inches by 6 inches, or 5 inches by about 5/8 of an inch thick.
Mm-hmm.
And it was up to a certain amount of weight, 4 or 5 ounces inside the box, and that was shipped for, I think it was $3.50.
Yeah, that's real reasonable.
In Canada, which wasn't too bad.
No, that's real good.
So yeah, so I just sort of watch for those sales and try to hit up some Canadian resellers and.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did come across something that you guys may find of interest. I had a Phantom printer. It's a, LaserJet printer. It just does black and white. When they first came out, they were like around $20 to print it. And initially the printer cartridges were 20, but the cartridges had this little printed circuit board on it. And if you didn't use your cartridge over time, it would just say, your cartridge expired, even though it was still full of toner. So found this website, AAAtoner.com, and you could buy a little board for $4, at least for the Phantom cartridges. Stick it in there, and it's worked fine. So, it kind of defeats whatever thing they have in there to get you to buy more cartridges, and they support many printers. So if anybody's having that issue, with their LaserJet cartridges, just expiring, I've heard that some of the printers will also do that after time. It's like it just,
Well, the part of the problem is they can dry out. They are not airproof from that. So hence, in theory, should print a page maybe once every couple of days.
Well, the toner cartridges for LaserJets is just a powder.
I know, but that's why I'm saying that. Right, but it can get moisture in there and that. So
the things that the printer industry has done to screw consumers has really just been atrocious.
Oh yes,
yeah,
proprietary cartridges, yeah,
and they will do anything to prevent competition from coming in and say, for example, making cheap replacement cartridges.
Yep.
It's the razor blade business. It's the razor blade business all over.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if you heard of this. I don't know if they're still doing this, but Keurig, people started coming in and making replacement K-cups for Keurig machines.
Right.
Well, Keurig went back and changed their design such that the K-cups that they produced had some sort of, I think they had a little sensor built into the coffee maker and looked for a certain fluorescent ink on the K-cup to make sure it was a Keurig K-cup, and it wouldn't work at all if you put another K-cup in it. I mean, it's like
and it's not just coffee, it's not just printer. There's that one advertisement on TV that does the cleaning of the nose. I forget the exact name of that brand. But anyway, they have it built so it only accepts their little cartridge thing. Now there's a thing on one of the places in Struggle or Thingiverse where it talks about how to work around it. But same thing.
Well, you know, it all started when the industry came up with this concept of we'll sell the printer at a loss, and we'll make up for it, you know, in
Right.
overcharging people for the ink.
Well, and the reason why they said they do it is so that way you get, not one of the inferior quality inks in your thing, in theory. In other words,
right.
right. Well, yeah. Well, there's some that could be, and you could see that argument going, yeah. But on the other hand, when you totally eliminate the option, then yeah.
Yeah, you've probably seen them if you have a Keurig machine. But they also had the little cups that you could put your own coffee in, and it was like a reusable cup. I don't know if you've seen those or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put pretty much anything in the cup: tea, coffee, whatever, and reuse it. Dump it out and reuse it.
So somebody raised a hand. Somebody raised a hand there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got a robotics question if you
Okay.
you don't mind.
Robotics question. Okay.
Sure.
I don't know, David. Is it about Keurig cups or not?
No, sorry, it's not.
Disabled printers.
Doug, I think you hoping you'll help me out here a little bit, or all of you. So I'm going to buy this little robot here.
Yep, that's the one we use for our beginning class, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Flip it. Does it have how many cells are the batteries?
Well, that's where my question comes in. This one has 6 cells.
Okay, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. If you figure 4 is only 6 volts, and that actually, the Uno has I believe it's 1105, LM1105, 5 volt regulator, and that has I think it's 1.5 volts. It's either 1 or 1.5 volts dropout voltage. So if you're at 6 volts, you're really on the hairy edge. I'm not saying it won't work, but it isn't a good design with 4.
So my question is, with 6 batteries in there, you get 9 volts.
Right.
Okay. So you've got the sensor shield in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you attach it up to there, then do you need 5 volts for these?
You really, wait a minute now. No. Okay. You got to watch this guy. I'm not sure what since he's only got 6 volts, he may be bypassing the regulator. I'm not familiar enough with, I'd have to look at the sensor shield. If he's bypassing the regulator, he can get away with 5 volts, but that's not a very safe thing to do. Okay.
Well, my question is, with the 9 volts, if I have the 6 batteries here,
yeah, but you want
then
to.
I'll be getting 9 volts.
Oh, but he's plugged it into
what
the
I'm saying. What I'm saying
Or
is,
if you're using nickel metal hydride, you'll get 7.2, which is a pretty good voltage.
Yeah, you want
You
to.
can recharge your batteries.
Yeah, what you want to do.
Notice on the diagram, he's plugging it into the 9 volt, and then Adrio actually will step it down.
Well,
and then he runs it off. Effectively, the Adrio board itself will be the 5 volts, and then he's taking the 9 volts and running it directly into the separate board to get the more power. And that board can run the 9 volts to the motor. I did it actually, about sort of that layout design wise.
Oh, let me look at it, but here's what I would say. The right way to do it, the one that's the safest way to do it, is to go ahead and plug it into the plug that's on the Arduino board.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't plug into here.
No.
The problem there is that whatever that, on the bottom part of the picture where there's no wires running to right now, there's a 5 volt. If you read on the board itself, it says 5 volts. Oh, where do I have one laying around? Let's see if I can find one real fast.
I think he's talking about the LN298 board.
So if you look there, there is going to be a jumper next to that pinout that he's showing there. Yeah, there's going to be a jump. There's a jumper somewhere over there, and that's how you connect the source. But what I always did is come in through the barrel jack.
Right.
That's the safest way.
Does that give you enough power to run the servo and the ultrasonic?
Okay.
Well, the servos, those can run off of the Adria board, but the actual board, the reels are being run off the 9-volt, basically. So that's how you get more power.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying on the bottom of the board there, where you have A0 through A5, if you look there, you'll see that it says 3.3 volts, 5 volts, round. He has nothing plugged into there. So he's feeding basically everything off of the, a custom bore actually. And probably this one. Yeah, because there was, let's see if I can show this bore up. But anyway, there's this bore that sat on top of the Adria bore that everything was run off of. But in his case, he has basically 2 bores that he's running.
So I guess my question comes down to, okay, if I run all 6 batteries.
Right, that gives you the 9-volt that goes into the Adria that steps it down to 5 volts.
Okay.
Well, let me finish, okay? If I have 9 volts going in here, I have 9 volts here.
No, that's 5 volts coming off of that bore.
So there's a regulator on the board.
Yeah, there's a regulator on that Adria bore, especially the mat.
I don't think so.
No, I think.
Well, there can be.
All right. Here's what I'm going to tell you. There's no regulator on the sensor board.
Right.
Okay, so you want to be careful. Like I say, yes, if you plug it into the barrel jack with 9 volts, all right, you got enough power to run a mini servo and probably a ultrasonic. But the right way to do it is to only let the 5 volts that are on those pins be 5 volts. But go ahead, there's a way, if I remember right. Well, I can't say right on the fly, but you'll find that if you tried to run a standard servo, okay, it'll be too much for it.
If you can't do it yourself, you need to hire somebody. If it's too difficult to do yourself.
Hey, John, you're talking to all of us.
Your mic is on. You might want to turn it off.
Okay, he's muted. Okay, so David.
There's the bore. Okay, let's look. See, that's a custom bore where they have different pins running off. I have one of those type of bore. Well, not that bore, but I have a type of bore like that. And yeah, they have additional plugs out there to run servos off of it. So that's where it can get its power. But that's why I was saying, notice he has that custom bore plus the H bore. In the upper top part up there, that effectively is run into 9 volts to run the motors. And that's why I said there's an H-bridge motor board besides that board. Yeah, up on the top there. And then the bottom one, it has additional pins for servos that you can plug into direct. It sort of makes it life easier. And I forget whose one I got, but anyway, yeah, it has additional pins on the Adria board basically for servos.
Yeah, what he's saying is that L229 board has a 5-volt regulator and you want to take the 5 volts from that to use for your servos and stuff.
Are you sure about that? I know it
I would,
requires
that
that.
board does. At least the one
Okay.
we were seeing in the picture does. So
That,
that's why I said that. Yeah.
No,
that board
If you
right
scroll
there.
up the next, if you scroll back to the page where you had the actual picture of the item, yeah, Paul's
There.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see the regulator right there?
Hmm.
Right between the two capacitors. That's the 5-volt regulator.
Uh-huh.
Can that be used as a power supply for sensors, or is that just for the
no, you can, yeah,
LM98 itself?
yes, you can. It again supplies a certain amount of voltage, David, but I mean, otherwise you have a certain amount of current that you can pull off of the LM295 or whatever it is, but it's even less than the Arduino board. But yes, you can use it. You can pull power off of it, but he's getting away doing this by essentially bypassing the regulator. That allows his 6 volts to work. Okay, and I would. That's not the. Let me show you an example here if I can. If you'll pin me. All right. All right. Okay. So if you look, you see I have a plug that goes into the barrel jack. All right. Now that goes up to here. Okay. It also goes over to this power switch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can see, so I can't really show you this the circuit too well, but essentially you pull you power your motors using the full 9 volts. Okay.
Yep.
All right. You power your Arduino with 9 volts too, and a switch, and that goes into the barrel jack. Now, if you leave that jumper that's right there next to,
Yeah.
yeah, you can see it right there. It's yellow on this one.
Yep.
Okay, if you leave that there, then that means it's getting its power from the Arduino. So that does limit what you have available to you, and that's why I'm saying is you can't run 2 servos. You can, and the only reason you can run the one that they give you with that board, the one that fits on the front, that usually drives the sonar. Can you show your kit again?
Yeah.
And especially the page where they have the picture of the actual board, not the drawing.
Okay, no. Yeah,
I got it.
where's the robot? Yeah.
This one here.
No, keep going up. Is this
That's why I say it's a custom board.
okay? Now this is no. You showed me a picture from.
Scroll down to the page below. There you are.
No.
That's the board that he's getting the power off of.
You need to
here.
Okay.
With
Yeah, but you show your kit, the kit that you were going to
Oh,
buy.
okay. Okay.
That's what I wanted to see. Okay, so
Oh,
if you see here,
Or,
if you look,
see, they have that board that they're plugging on top
okay,
of that.
you see down at the bottom underneath the caster, down, go zoom up and go underneath the caster. No, the picture you are on that shows the parts. Now slide down. Okay, you see that funky looking black piece of plastic?
Yeah.
That's your pan. That's actually a pan and tilt unit, but you're only going to use the pan. You're not going to use the tilt.
Okay.
If you had a second servo, you could use the tilt. So, and you notice they're using an SG90 servo. That's a little tiny one, and you can get away with that on this kit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Everything that they got there, you can. Now, what I would tell you, if you want to go ahead and make this a little better robot, uh, then I would recommend possibly getting one with some of the DF robot motors from Mauser. So and replace these. But these are fine to get started. You can make a really cool obstacle avoidance robot with this kit.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's sort of what I'm hoping for is something that could be entered into the 2 Robo-Rama events.
Okay.
Straight line.
Okay.
And then, of course, square corner.
Okay. Straight line's going to be a pain because you're going to have to do it open loop because you have no positional feedback. There's no encoders. No, they don't have they have the wheels, but they don't have the encoders.
Yeah, they do.
But
look at the
that's they don't have the
Yeah,
encoders.
those right below the bar. They have
the disc, but they don't have what do they call the reader?
Yeah,
right.
So interrupter to reader.
Yeah, yeah. There's no there's no God. What's the word? Interrupter, I guess you'd call it.
Optical interrupters.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have those.
But I'm going to get some.
Oh, but I'm saying.
Actually, I've got them.
Oh, you already got them.
Yeah.
Okay, because what I'm going to say,
you could get. You
could have gotten the motors for probably the same price as those encoders. That's why I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying instead of going through with these discs, you can make it work, but it's gonna be painful.
Okay.
And there's a lot of tricks, depending on the interrupter that you got. A lot of the interrupters need to have a capacitor placed between the power and the ground, I believe, because if you don't do that, they'll give you a lot of false reads. So there's lots of problems doing that without.
So if you look at my little screen here, here's one with the actual encoder on the back end. That's why he was saying you can't upgrade the motors relatively cheap.
Yeah.
It's like $15 for this.
15 for 2. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But
that's kind of way to go.
But it's just your feet wet in the water at a reasonable price, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So my takeaway, it would be best not to have 9 volts on here and try to provide power 9 volts of these. It would be better to go with the 5 volts through the Uno.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of where you want to go. Where you want to go.
And the key is they have that board that basically they feed that into I would call the secondary board. In this image, all they're showing you is that secondary board. There were 2 secondary boards. The one that does the running of the sensors and the one that does the H-bridge for the motors. That picture should have like the third one where they bring it underneath.
And the reason they're getting away with this is they're really over spec on fresh batteries. 6 volts is not right. And I like the 9 volt one and to run it through the barrel jet and get full power to the motors and use the 5 volts for the other 2.
Regulated for the sensors and
Right. Yeah.
And you could add a 2-cell AA battery holder.
Yeah,
and give you your 6 batteries and run the 4 battery cell power through the switch to your shield and run the in series with the other pack, run it to your motor control board.
So
basically you'd end up with a tap point in your battery pack
Mhm.
at the 4-cell point to feed the Arduino, and you'd have the 2 additional cells to feed the motor driver.
Oh, so you mean just tap in like right here? Say I've got 6 batteries, but just tap in right here.
Well, just tap
Yeah.
in, let's say, off the red wire battery pack. So you would have the 2 additional batteries, the battery packs in series with each other.
Yeah, I think you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you either have the 6-pack and tap off of it, or you have a 4-pack and a 2-pack and you tap between the two.
Yeah. So you'd need an additional switch to shut, let's say, the Arduino down and the motors down if you had.
Now I want to point out something, guys, just so you know. Both the ultrasonic and the servo have a kind of a top end of 6 volts. The servo can probably go up to 6.5, but the ping or whatever, the ultrasonic is really 6 volts is pushing it. Okay. So what I'm trying to get at is you're gonna, yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, that's why I
Even
would
the
say,
Arduino, isn't it 5 plus or minus 10%, so 5.5 max?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're over with using 6 volts. You're over spec. That's what I was getting. But you probably can get away with it.
the key is you can run it through the 9 volt and have it
and,
regulate.
and I'm not sure. Dave, you probably also have it. If you look at the motors are either going to be 3 volts or 6 volts. But you can actually you can put up to 12 volts through them. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
They're
Well,
less
and
sensitive.
you're PWMing them anyway, so
Yeah,
you're dropping that down.
Yeah. So you're not. What I'm trying to get at is you're probably not gonna. Yeah. Well, like David said, you're not really putting 12 volts. They are getting 12 volts, but they're only getting 12 volts half the time. So see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or even less.
Not only that, but that motor, the H bridge, that really sucks because it has a couple volts drop in it all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, the question was, could you take some power off of that board? Yes, you can, but it's not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and plan on powering these with Uno.
yeah. No, I think though, if you're going to go for a straight line, I would recommend, the one I showed you, this guy actually does have those boards on it, the ones I was telling you about. So they actually have the reading boards for those discs.
Right. Okay.
But that's, I tell you what I'm going to, and I want to say the capacitor is between ground, it looks like it's between ground and data on the sensor board.
Okay.
I tell you what, I'll send you, David.
Yep.
Are you a current member? I just want to make sure I can get your email. Have you ever emailed me?
I don't know if I have. Yeah, I think I'm still current, unless my dues are up.
Okay. Well, let me. What I'm trying to do is I'll send you a link to the training classes that we had. Now, I found some errors in it over time, but the part that would help you build this robot are all current, are all good. Okay. Okay. So I'll send you that link, and I'll write that down.
Doug, on yours, did you have 6 alkaline batteries or 6 nickel metal hydride?
Just alkaline.
Oh,
Yeah, so now I would use these new batteries they have out. These ones that are, they have a
USB charger on it.
USB-C charger on it, and they're actually lithium, but they're not lithium non-rechargeables. So these actually emulate a alkaline battery very well, except that they hold a 1.5 volt almost to the end, and they have about 1,500 to 1,800 milliamp hours in them at 100 milliamp draw, and they're great. You know, I mean, for robot builders that are you buy a set of these and you don't have to keep changing robot things. They're definitely worth I think they're about $15 for 4. Definitely worth it.
How long do those take to charge, Doug?
I think they charge at about a half an amp. So if you're going to if so for 1,500, so that'd be probably 3 hours. They have a little LED in the top that blinks, and when it gets fully charged, it turns solid. You get these little squids that come with them, and so you don't have to have any special charger for them. You just stick this into your regular charging block, and they'll charge them up. Like I say, I wish I'd had these when I don't know how many alkaline batteries I've gone through over the years.
And what are those things called, Doug?
They're called, if you go onto Amazon, they're going to be called something like 1.5 volt lithium rechargeable batteries.
Thanks.
Okay, and I have had 2 different brands. One of them was a little stronger than the other. They always talk about them in milliwatt hours. Okay? Instead of milliamp hours, they always talk about them in milliwatt hours. So you have to take their spec and divide it by 1.5 because that's the voltage, and that'll give you the milliamp hours you can expect. And you really...
Do they have a regulator?
Yeah, they actually have a regulator built into the top of the battery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you have to, and that's another thing you have to watch.
Wow.
You know, okay, I'm going to tell you the story of, me checking these things out. All right. They can easily supply 100 milliamps without any problem. They can actually supply 250 milliamps without any problem. And they can probably supply an amp without any problem, but they start to get pretty warm on the tip. Okay? And because, you just have there's just a little tiny MOSFET thingy on the end that's doing the power regulation, and that 1.5 volts got to go somewhere. So
That's really a pretty amazing find.
Oh, was it? Well, when I found them, I thought, man, this is, because I used to eat these
Yeah.
these alkaline batteries. I used to eat them. I've got a big bag of old ones somewhere.
Thanks.
Yeah, but as far as, like 16 or 18 650s, I mean, they're cheap, and you get nominal 3.7 volts out of them. I mean, why not just go with straight lithium?
Well, that would be fine if it all depends. Like, for example, I put them in my little flashlight. My flashlight doesn't take 360.
18650.
Yeah. It takes
Yeah.
a double A. So and these are, you can also buy a non-rechargeable double A that's lithium, and it'll have twice the life, but it's
It'll be
dead
three
when
times the price.
and it's dead when it's finished. So
Yeah.
so these are, the thing that I haven't really, like I say, there's a lot of different vendors out on Amazon, and I've run into two. One of them was really good, and this one I'm testing right now. I think that he has some, because they got to keep it at 1.5 volt, there's some parasitic losses because there's current going all the time. So I haven't figured out, like, if you've got this
Shelf
guy,
life.
I don't know what the charge life is. Otherwise, if you just sit it over someplace and let it wait 2 months, if you had your normal 3.7 volt battery, it'd still be at whatever voltage you left it at. These, because they're running a regulator, even though it's a low leakage regulator, is still using some power. And I haven't figured out how. I don't know. So I don't know what the charge life is if you just charge them up and set them aside. But
This is a double A lithium iron phosphate. It's 3.2 volts at 600 milliamp hours.
Yeah, and so 600 milliamp hours is low, and the current draw on that thing is low. So so it's I had some of those, and my thought was that that's not the answer. I honestly believe that if you opened up one of these double A's, what you'd find inside of it is a vape battery. I think that's what they're doing.
Is it what battery?
Those little
vaping battery.
Those vapors that those people, people who do electronic cigarettes. Well, there's a battery in there. It's a little. I had one over here somewhere. Yeah. Here's what it looks like.
I think in most cases they're 18650s, aren't they?
No, they're a little short.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's rated at 550 milliamp hours at 3.7 volts. And the size is called a 13400. So I don't know. I mean, it can't be a whole lot bigger than that one because they have the regulator and everything on the tip, but it's probably a little bit longer. I don't know. Who knows? When one finally goes apart, fails, I'll just take it apart and find out. But yeah. So anyway,
is Harold still around?
I don't know. He dropped some code on the comments.
Harold, are you still there? There's one of the balancing robots. That's the Balboa.
Yeah.
From Honolulu.
It might even use that same IMU that Harold's using.
It could be.
Harold uses the 6050.
Balboa from Honolulu,
Well, your voice is incredibly staticky.
Because I have no idea what's going on.
I'm not sure who that is. It's not me.
It's Harold.
Yeah, Harold.
So what he needs to do is basically not use the computer mic and use the phone. Is what I would recommend to him. So you probably can hear us. It's just that his mic is getting feedback.
Yeah.
So, Doug, I found I saw what you said, that there are a bunch of these AA lithium 1.5 volt batteries on Amazon, and some of them are rechargeable, some of them are not. But just pulled up one, and that is, and it shows an exploded diagram with a circuit board.
Share it with us. Share it with us.
Sure. Let me just pull that in and share it. See. Are you seeing this?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the interesting thing is they've got a circuit board sitting in between the top of the lithium cell and the positive pole of the battery, and I have to imagine, because you almost got to have some kind of, and this is an Li-ion lithium ion cell, so this is 3,500 milliamp hours, and it's got to have a buck converter in there to maintain the efficiency to be high, but it also has to have some kind of a BNC that protects the battery against overvoltage or undervoltage conditions, because those can cause fires in lithium ion cells. So pretty interesting and pretty smart. So thanks a lot for pointing that out, Doug. And I didn't even know these things existed.
Okay.
But it looks great.
But I would tell you this: be very, very suspicious. Look at a bunch of them and try to find the guy that's got the lowest milliwatt hours is probably the most honest.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've tested the two I've tested. The good ones were about 1,800 milliamp hours, and the one I'm testing now are in the 15 and a half. Milliamp hours. They claim 25 milliwatt hours, and I'm like, so that would be 2,500 times 1.5 divided by 2,500 divided by 1.5. So they're saying 1,666, and like I say, the best I think I've had is 1,585, and the worst I've had is right about 1,500. So of this batch that I'm looking at, okay, the one that I looked at before was substantially better.
Thanks for that heads up. Yeah, because I have seen people advertising some of like 18650 batteries with 10,000 milliamp hours, and there's like no way they can the max is about 3,500 from the best vendors, and so some of those ads are just way off.
So anything above probably 2,500 milliwatt hours is probably bogus. Okay, now
that's a great find, though. Thanks for that pointer.
Well, I definitely say that if you read the reviews, because somebody somewhere will have tested them, and find one that the tip doesn't get too hot, and they say the tests were good, and then go ahead and then that'd be the guy I'd buy them from. Yeah, because apparently this is, it's really popular right now. So,
Well, if we've finished that topic, and if no one else has robot stuff to ask, I've got an update on a question that I asked this group of wise and educated individuals a few weeks back on charging high capacity lithium batteries, and a few people said, look at Victron, and Victron had more products than I knew that they had, and some of them were in the lower power range. So that was a helpful pointer. But between all of that, um, I've got some high power. I'm playing with some high power electronics now. So I'm going to show you the stuff I've got. So this is the Renogy charger that came out of the researchers that you guys pointed me to, and it's really super duper. It takes 12 volts from a car alternator and solar, and it has an MPPT tracking circuit in it, and will charge your house battery. So it's intended for RVs. Oh, by the way, this is for my Starlink, and the Starlink came in, and I hooked it up, and it just works great. Just worked right out of the box.
Wow.
And I got 80 megabits down and about 3 to 4 up, and just sit with the antenna sitting out in my backyard. And I'm just on the RV plan, so I'm deprioritized compared to people who are on the home plan. But anyway, the from the point of view of this is intended to be a battery system with charging capability for a Starlink system. So this will do 12 charge from 12 volts either from the truck, and it's clever because it only charges when the truck's alternator voltage is above 13.2 volts. So if you shut the engine off, it doesn't drain your battery while it charges, doesn't drain your starter battery, charging the Starlink battery. So that's a pretty clever feature. And then the other way this helps is I've got 12 volts in the RV. Actually, it's actually 14 volts because I power the lithium batteries off of it, charge the lithium batteries in the RV off of it. So that'll make this thing charge the Starlink batteries too. So if I'm on shore power in the RV, then I'll have 14 volts to run through this thing to charge the Starlink battery. If I'm in the truck, I'll have 14.8 to charge the Starlink battery, and in between times the solar. So what a great device. So thank you for that pointer. And this is a 50 amp hour LFP lithium ferro iron phosphate battery that has sufficient energy in it to run Starlink for 5+ hours for 3 nights in a row without getting recharged.
Whoa.
And
so how much research did you do on the batteries? Did you
what?
I was curious how much research you did on the batteries. Did you look at Battleborn and?
Yeah, I Battleborn is battle. There's a lot. There's a name. The big name vendors like Battleborn, and they're expensive, and they tend to be in the 100 amp hour plus size range. And I only needed 50, and bigger is heavier, and I got to obviously carry this thing around. So that was really my criteria. And William Prowse has a YouTube channel where he analyzes lots of these things, and he opened one up and said, "Oh, it's a Chins battery," and Chins is another well-known brand, a Chinese brand that's not not Battleborn, but they're well regarded. So inside it's got the guts of a Chins. And then this is the solar panel, 100-watt solar panel with the charging cables on the backside. So let's sit that out on the field next to the battery, and then to simulate the alternator. This is what used to be the converter out of my RV. It's actually a variable voltage converter that I use for lithium charging because it'll go up to 50.5 volts. It actually burnt its fuses, so I replaced them with a bunch of inline wire fuses because they literally burned. Like the contacts went all black and the plastic melted and everything. So anyway, I made it work again. I had previously put on a variable speed fan, with a temperature controlled speed controller to make it quieter. And this was running in the RV until it cooked its fuses. So then they gave me a new one under warranty. But this still works, so it'll work just fine for simulating an alternator.